Harrison Faulkner is a journalist and a host of Ratioed on Truth North. Mr. Faulkner is now joining us live from Toronto. Good to see you, Harrison, and welcome. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau introduced retaliatory tariffs on U.S. and ended up issuing a warning that Trump's tariffs would put Americans' jobs at risk. Explain to us how this trade war affects both Canadians and Americans.
Well, it's significant. The results will be that hundreds of thousands of Canadians will be out of work if the United States goes forward with this. On the other side, however, Canada is the #1 supplier of crude oil for the United States. Our crude oil essentially fuels their military and their economy. Our critical minerals are used across the United States to keep the lights on, to keep the power on, and to keep the U.S. functioning. So a trade war, which is what we already absolutely are in, make no mistake about it, this is now a trade war. This will have disastrous consequences for Americans and for Canadians. It's quite obvious, however, that the justification about this being somehow related to border security and fentanyl, when he's attacking Canada with stronger tariffs than he is China, makes it obvious that really the border has nothing to do with this. Donald Trump wants to try to inflict economic pain in Canada to try to engineer better outcomes for the United States. I just don't see how it's going to happen.
Harrison, how much of a problem will Trump's tariffs imposed on Canada, Mexico, and even China be in the long run, despite President Trump himself admitting they could have a potential adverse consequences on American consumers? He's just going against his words.
Well, most importantly for the United States, they're going to end up having to pay a lot more for gas. Everything is going to cost more because they're so reliant on Canadian crude oil. They, in fact, buy over 4 million barrels a day. And I just want to make this point. If you take out the oil purchase, if you take out crude oil, the United States actually has a trade surplus of over $30 billion with Canada. So the reason why there is a trade deficit is because of America's reliance on oil in this country. So another thing that's going to happen is that Canada is going to end up finding alternative partners to sell our oil to establish new trading relationships, which I just don't understand why the United States wants to do that. Why the U.S. will want to push Canada to other partners and to make us less reliant on them doesn't seem to make any sense if you're looking at it through an American perspective. The only positive to this, I see, is that this is going to kick Canada into action on border security, as well as Mexico, hopefully. Although when you compare Canada and Mexico on fentanyl and illegal immigration, there is simply no comparison. Canada is responsible for 1% of fentanyl and illegal immigration into the United States.
Well, just moments ago, President Trump did once again troll Canada. He said that Canada should be called the 51st state. Do you think diplomacy can end this trade war?
Well, I think it's the only way this war will actually come to an end. What is obvious, however, is that Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump don't like each other. Donald Trump has zero respect for Justin Trudeau. So what exactly that diplomacy is going to look like is a mystery. It may, in fact, have to involve potentially the king, because at least Donald Trump respects our king a lot more than he respects our prime minister. The prime minister simply cannot reach the president at the moment, so that is a big problem. But there's no point in expecting these tariffs to be dropped, because they're going to come into force. They're going to have significant pain. And the only way this ends is with diplomacy, is potentially with Americans recognizing that this is really hurting them a lot too, and there's really no point in this. Canada can be a partner for the United States. We are not a problem for the United States, the same way that Mexico and China are. And that just doesn't seem to be resonating with the U.S. president, but it really ought to.
All right. Mr. Harrison Faulkner, we'll have to end it there. Thank you for talking to us today. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.